The next team presenting would be Team Transpose.
I'm Chiranja Shah. This is Jaideep Beniwale. We are two second-year undergraduate students at CEPT University, Ahmedabad, and our team comprises of 5 members. All of us are classmates. Yes. So there have been 25 teams over here, and what we've observed is that most of them have been into real social problems, and they've had their startups because of them, where actual grassroots social problems have been tried to solve. But one of the main social problem where all of us are handicapped is that of traffic congestion. As soon as you put that key inside the vehicle and you sit in the car every morning, you are handicapped. So what is the problem? There's an inability of designated infrastructure to sustain the ever-increasing growth in vehicular numbers. So what has actually happened is that the infrastructure allotted in our cities is not being able to cope up with the rising number of vehicles. And this is causing problems to the people in terms of cost, traffic infrastructure, energy, time, and also health. So what is being proposed by the government presently? Well, they follow a pretty unidimensional follow a very unidimensional approach now, where if there's an increase in number of vehicles, you have to relate it directly to widening of roads and providing mass transit, giving workforce. But what are they lacking? Well, they're lacking optimization of the needed resources of whatever we actually have. They're providing flyovers, mass transits, railways, but it's not, the change is not yet evident. So on what basis are these constructed? Well, to construct all of these, you need a lot of data and big data, and especially for so many people. So to actually get and acquire this data, they use these physical surveys, where surveyors are actually sent to the site for 7 days, 7 surveyors for 7 hours a day, and they're actually made to work, and then you're expected to have the needed accuracy. Yeah, that's going to happen. So it is a really prehistoric form of actually getting our data when you want to construct such large number of infrastructure for such a amount of people. So what happens because of these surveys is that it is time consuming, it is error sim, and it is redundant. Because if I have a survey for a week for a project that is going to happen for 4 years later, I'm not going to have the same results. So such data proves to be redundant. So what we as Transpose plan to do is we try to automate the whole process. What we try to do is we provide cheap sensors using off-the-shelf components, install them at heights, and what we will do is we'll actually count the number of vehicles, analyze that data, form patterns, trends, activities, and then totally optimize this and sell it in the form of data packets. So yes. So this is the mechanism. This is, suppose there are multiple junctions in a particular area. What we plan to do is we plan to install these sensors at these junctions, and we plan to grid it and gather all the data and pool it at a central pooling site maybe. And what we then do is we actually process all this data and then get the needed analytics and then sell it in the form of data packets, or in the form of or sell it to the infrastructure agencies, the government, the private, the research, whoever needs it. So Jaideep here will actually show you the code as to how the whole sensor actually works. I'm not coming. Actually, the whole thing is linked. So, yeah. So the laptop only, no? Yeah. So this is the code, and we actually had a trial run at this place called Himalaya Mall Road in Ahmedabad, and this is what our sensor actually does. It counts the number of vehicles and gives the direction and the size of vehicles, and then accordingly segregates it.
And it is not not just the numbers, but as well as it gives the kind of vehicles. It analyzes the shape and size of the movement, and according to that, it decides whether it is a pedestrian, is it a car, is it a two-wheeler, what it is. So that way, it is pretty intelligent to recognize and segregate between them. We get these kinds of patterns at the back end, and from these patterns we analyze various things, and we can see where the traffic and all those things are there.
Where it's getting more congested, or what route the vehicle is actually following.
Yeah.
And then what we do from this data at a micro scale is we try to explode it to a macro one, and we actually try to coordinate these small junctions or these small areas, such as this IM Road, Helmet Circle, Passport Office. These are all small micro area junctions, and we grid it onto a major one.
And we can actually see how these junctions are interlinked, what the effect of traffic congestion there is having here, and how a whole system is linked to each other. Not a junction is not independent, but it is a whole system which is linked. So it has to be understood as a system, so we can make a better system, not just a small a jigsaw puzzle which has to fit in it. It has to be a whole system which has to be thought of.
So yes. So this is a sensor. What are the advantages of having one? Well, it's cost effective because it uses the off-the-shelf components, normal components that an everyday phone has: the processor, camera, and a transmitter and some memory. And also what we actually do with this is that many of our competitors usually are into this field. But what they do is they take the video and they actually transmit it to the back end, where then it is analyzed. But what happens in the transmission of the video is that the cost increases heavily. And what we do is that our sensor actually takes in the video, processes it, and chucks the video away. So various things like government regulations where you're supposed to take, where you're allowed to take a video feed for not more than half an hour, such limitations are eased by. Also, it is provisionally patented under the USPTO, and it is also 96% accurate from all the trials we've done. This is our team. As I told you, we are from a urban infra-oriented kind of a university, so we already have many projects which are taking place, and there is a certain involvement by us in those projects already. Also, our mentors are such that they are already into many different verticals, which is actually helping us to enhance our product. This is the market.
So, to begin with, so we have done a market analysis to understand what kind of consumers are there for this product. So one of the consumers are the infrastructure management and construction management companies who take the tenders to fill up the tenders and make and propose projects and construct those projects. Even the municipal corporations and urban local bodies who need to propose projects, they need this data. So they are one of our consumers. And the agencies which regulate systems like the traffic lights. So if this system is installed, the traffic lights management would be much easier and the congestion can be reduced in practice. So
also, I'm actually belong to Pune. So over there, the Pune BRTS has failed heavily, and it has been proven by everyone now, all the researchers. So why has it failed? Well, it has failed because even they've admitted is because they did not they were not able to actually gauge the kind of vehicles that were there or what is going to actually happen. All the bases were just dependent on assumptions and outdated data. So what we are trying to do is actually understand our market in terms of opportunities and competition.
Yeah, so this is a market research in terms of competition, that what other companies are doing and which are the verticals they are into. And that's how we have placed a product into the segment which we felt was much needed and which we can be comfortably into.
So we already have really big players such as MIT Sensible City Labs who are working very efficiently on this. And then we have IBM, Google, and then there's this one called Solomo, which is really doing similar stuff. But all this is abroad.
Now, some quick financial information. Our total capital requirement in a span of 4 years is 50 to 55 lakhs. It is, but initially we need 4 to 5 lakhs to, make our prototypes more efficient, to have some pilot projects, and to recruit to have people who can make the system more efficient and make it more accurate. Apart from that, a sensor costs us around 5 to 6,000 rupees, and each junction needs about 1 or 2 sensors depending on the local conditions. So for our first project, we are planning to about have 40 to 50 junctions graded in a city. So for that, we need about 12 to 15 lakhs of investment.
This also includes a large amount of installation and maintenance costs. So even if the sensor is cheap, we have to actually look after all these other costs. Well, thank you.
The accuracy of the sensor, you said it was 96% accurate. Can you explain what that means? Is it, in terms of, does it not miss cars? Is it accurate in saying which type of vehicle?
It's accurate in terms of the count. What happens is when a physical surveyor actually goes to site, his mind might wander some places and he might miss somebody. But the sensor has the video feed, and every time you cross one bar over there, it's going to count you no matter what. So in terms of that.
And it's always able to separate one vehicle from another.
So that's why it's 96%, because
96. Okay, so that was
sometimes if there are 2 people walking, it causes a problem presently. Yeah.
I also noticed that your software seemed to only catch movement. Is that a conscious decision? When vehicles and people moved, that's when the recognition, whatever the data recognition module is, that's when it used to kick in.
Yes, basically it is where we began with, because we did not have such skills to have make it a better software. So like we're researching on a better method. We are trying to improve the software to actually not just based on the movement, but on the shape or size of the object, it can intelligently know that. But right now, as we are freshly into, after the schooling, we have directly into this course. So we have no technical background as such. This is where we have taken help of others and built this thing.
A group of hobbyist coders. Maybe.
So we are all a group of hobbyist coders, and all we have done this. So once we have a technical expertise, or we can hire some technical expertise, we can improve the technology even better.
I think what he's asking is, have we intentionally tracked the movement, or is it just, or can we just do stationary? Suppose the car is parked, so could we?
Stationary ideally has to be there, because it might also affect how the effective road width would be, because parking can reduce the effective road width, roadside parking.
Can we sense that?
We can. It is possible.
Yeah. What would this kind of software sell for? What would Google pay for it?
The cost?
Why are you even talking about a business when in fact you could be trying to sell it as a software product?
Okay. What Google does presently is that it triangulates its data based on velocity. So we do not know how much they would actually value our data presently, but from our business model is actually pretty safe. When we went to the next big idea competition in Bangalore, the mentors actually said this is too less and you're supposed to increase it to 5 crore or something like that. So yeah, but we are also gauging the fact that we are students and we have to play it safe a bit, and 5 crores and 50 crores is a lot.
Understood the value add that you all have created with this product. It seems to me the entry barrier for doing it is quite low. Correct me if I'm wrong, that any agency that is given a contract to say ease congestion, maybe just now they are using physical methods or making people stand around and count cars. But is it very much of a leap for them to say it will be more effective for us to do it this way, or they will become your customers instead of creating this software themselves? Is it, what I want to understand is, how much value add have you done which somebody else can't quickly do?
Yes. The benefits are that one is a background, and so what we do is we might just take the data, but our background actually helps us to analyze it too. So what comes with the vehicle count is an analysis, and so in our business model, which we have not shown, is we could either just sell them the data saying these are the number of vehicles, do what you want with it, or we could give them a backing saying we could help you with the consultancy part.
And it is not just a business or something we want to develop. It is an understanding which we want to create. New theories can be developed on this understanding that how junctions are, how the width of the road with the number of junctions connected to it. So how does it work? How does junctions in conjunction to each other work? So it is another, a new area can be found out, new theories, new explorations can be done in that area. So that is where we are opening this, a new dimension to this whole problem.
At a particular series of junctions, have you all actually thought through, okay, if I were a city planner, here's what I would say, a congestion tax, or reduction of traffic going from 7 AM to 9 PM, or something that's obviously coming out of your analysis?
Well, if you saw the one where we had synced the micro level junctions to the major one, Jaideep actually proposed, or rather told me this one day, that if the PCUs are greater or something, we see.
PCU is basically the public passenger car unit, which is a standard unit used for the vehicular congestion. And we also had, as our sensor can also sense whether it is a car or a bus. So we also know how much transit units are there on the road. So, for example, if there is high number of PSU and less number of transit units, we can propose a transit system to make the transit system better. And if there are PCU numbers are high and transit units are also high, so we can also propose a mass transit corridor between that. So a separate corridor for the transit units, so that where the transit units are causing congestion, they can have a different route altogether. So these are different things we can know from that. Videography and processing happens at the instance, yes, because it is happening in the local memory of the sensor.
This seems to be telling me, is one of your teammates a traffic person also?
No, all of us are class.
The mentors are there.
Some of your mentors are. Okay. So this is clearly pointing out to a future development which would make for a live traffic control system, changing the lengths of the red light and the green lights, for example.
Syncing, yes.
Dynamic traffic lights.
There are about 100 verticals that we have. One is the app also, but we, for now, just as an entry or a jump, we are targeting this one vertical.
The problem with your current situation is that everybody might just yawn and say, well, this can be done. But if you were to really try to make somebody sit up and say, oh, this is something else, you might want to do a simulation of 5 or 6 junctions simultaneously in Ahmedabad and show how dynamic system control would, you could simulate it, this you can't do really, but you could simulate how that dynamic system control could be used with your app to create better traffic with existing roads, existing red lights and everything.
Yes.
Yeah, yes.
Actually, a related question. So when you're tracking the vehicle movement, can you discern different patterns of movement, whether it's kind of smoothly flowing or more chaotic, like getting around barriers? Does the sensor pick that up, and can you do analytics around that?
Yeah, the lines and the dots which were there, those patterns and those lines can be used where maximum turning radius has to be there, or where the maximum accidents are happening. Where is the probability of maximum accidents happening? So in that way, you can design the road like that. So where there is a blind spot between a turning radius. So if that is the problem, we can identify with this system.
And things like that.
Yeah.
How accurate is it in being able to sense the individual vehicle movements and the dimensions? Because you had just said the 96% was picking up a car when there's a car. And then these other parts of what type of vehicle for the passenger unit and the direction and things like that.
96% is that if there's a truck over here and I have just a small, I can see just one wheel about a two-wheeler nearby, then it takes the whole thing as a truck and it ignores the two-wheeler. So we still are working on that presently.
Because that would be the ability of the sensor to actually deliver this fine-grained data is kind of the essential piece into the analytics.
I'm sorry. If you were to get this money, where would you invest? Where would you start? Ahmedabad?
Yes, Ahmedabad.
Have you got any permissions to do so?
Well, yes, we have. Like some of our faculty members are already, well, him we have not yet approached because he's really big. But there's another one, Professor Utpal Sharma. He has actually granted us, or at least told that y'all could test this at a large scale level at the Ahmedabad airport for the parking, syncing and things like that.
Because it can be used for parking management, dynamic parking management. It can also be used where, GPS systems, where you can reroute your, when you have a GPS with you and you know where the traffic is. So you can reroute yourself to another route and avoid that. So that is, can be.
You had a question? Yeah. Give the mic.
So my question is, with the conventional system, the major problem is that they are not able to account for double counting of vehicles. For example, the single road is being, crossed by the same vehicle a number of times. So how do you do that? No, but how do you account for the number of vehicles? The same vehicle is, being counted 4 times if it is crossing the same path 4 times. So how do you, are you able to identify whether it has, been passed once or twice or thrice, how many times?
Well, if that vehicle is going to pass 4 times, it's going to do that at different times. And so it will be one of the contributors to if there is traffic or something. So you do not look at the vehicle as the same one, you look at it as different entities at different times. So we are concerned with the analysis, but not of which vehicle it is and what number plate it has and which color it is.
But suppose if you have to account the number of vehicles present in a state, then how do you do that? And if you talk about Delhi, there are, cab systems, these cabs keep moving throughout the days. They take multiple, transits. So how do you count the number of vehicles exactly?
We don't. Our main motive is not of counting the total number of vehicles in the city. It is more about how the space is getting affected because of the vehicle.
Okay, and it is also not able to count for if suppose the vehicle is a Delhi number or a UP number. So if in case I want to know it's because of intercity transport or because of the within city transport, I can't do that also, right?
Our system does not do that. Presently there are systems where, when you break the traffic and you circumvent or you go away from the traffic signal when the signal is red. So there are systems already which do electronic billing. The challan, e-challan systems are there. So we are pretty much capable of doing that. So this can be combined with that and the system can be made better. That's definitely.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, I guess you guys are using processing, right?
Yeah.
So he was basically pointing, using 4 pointers or 8 pointers to map the cars.
Ask.
Yeah, while using processing, it's very difficult because there's gonna be over mapping, right? One car, then other car, because you're gonna take feed like this. You can't take feed from the top. So like I've been using the same thing processing for doing this in metro rail, but how will this work out? Like, how will this work out? How is it like gonna give you accurate results? Because there are a lot of constraints. Lightning, first of all. Second, the point-based, for face recognition, you need 32 points, and it's very close. For such a, so many buses, so many cars, how will you get the feed?
Face recognition is a very, very specific thing.
Yeah.
Micro.
It is a very high. Yeah, face recognition is a very sensitive thing because a face it is for security reasons.
Yeah.
So you need a very high accuracy for that. In terms of recognizing vehicles, it's the size which matters than the how does it look, because you are not interested in whether it is a Maruti car or a Zen or that. So you do not need that much of accuracy, which can be brought in at a later stage. But it is a prototype, so that's why it is not. We are not able to do it right now. So we are into development stage. That's why this much is what we have achieved till now.
Is that all? Yeah. Thank you.